Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks host the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Tonight at 7 p.m., it's soccer night, and kids glow around the bases postgame. Saturday at 6:30, it's Broadway night with postgame fireworks and Broadway rave. Sunday at 1:30, it's Military Appreciation Day, and the kids run around the bases.
A great day out for the entire family. Kids run the bases after every Sunday home game. Want the best seats all season? Get more Ferry Hawks for only $63. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Welcome to the Roger Stone Show. Today we celebrate three holidays. The 80th birthday of our 45th and 47th President, Donald J. Trump. It's also Flag Day, as well as the 251st birthday of the United States Army. Every day on June 14th, Flag Day arrives quietly, almost like an old war veteran, sitting alone on a park bench while the crowd rushes past without noticing. It's not even a federal holiday anymore. There are no massive sales events attached to it. Most Americans go to work, drive their children to school, continue their daily routines without giving much thought to the piece of cloth that flies above city halls, schools, military bases, cemeteries, and front porches across the country. Yet that flag is far more than fabric. To me, it's the visual biography of the United States of America. It's our national fingerprint. It's the one symbol that has survived revolutions in technology, transformations in culture, economic upheavals, political battles, world wars, and every crisis in between. As America prepares to celebrate its 250th anniversary in just a matter of weeks, Flag Day deserves renewed attention, in my opinion. The story of our flag is, in many respects, the story of America itself. It began not with 50 stars stretching across a vast continental republic, but with 13 modest stars representing 13 rebellious colonies clinging to the eastern edge of a continent. Like a tiny sapling that would eventually grow into a giant oak tree, the first American flag contained within it the promise of something far greater than anyone living at the time could have possibly comprehended. Contrary to what many assume, Flag Day did not emerge from a famous battle or a patriotic song. Its origins are more subtle and perhaps more profound. The first flag represented a fragile experiment. The nation barely existed. George Washington's university was often hungry, poor, and supplied facing the greatest military power on earth. The Declaration of Independence was less than a year old. The flag of the United States was, contrary to what some may assume, declared, as I say, the founders didn't view the American merely as a collection of political jurisdictions. They envisaged a constellation, a gathering of separate lights shining together in the darkness. The first flag represented this fragile experiment. The nation itself barely existed. George Washington's army was often hungry, poorly supplied, and facing the greatest military power on earth. The Declaration of Independence was less than a year old. British forces occupied most American cities. The outcome of the war remained uncertain, yet even amidst that uncertainty, the founders understood the importance of symbols. Armies marched behind flags. Nations rally around flags. People sacrifice for flags. A republic without symbols, well, is like a church without a steeple or a ship without a mast. The structure may still exist, but something essential is missing. Now, the legendary Betsy Ross story remains deeply woven into American folklore, although historians continue to debate precisely how much of that traditional account is fact and how much may be embellishment. But what cannot be disputed is that the flag rapidly became the visual embodiment of the American cause. It transformed abstract concepts such as liberty, self-government, and independence into something, well, visible. Flag became a banner beneath which ordinary farmers, merchants, laborers, and tradesmen could unite despite their many differences. As the nation expanded, so did the stars. Vermont and Kentucky were added first. More states followed. New stars appeared as America crossed mountains, settled territories, built railroads, survived civil war, and stretched from sea to shining sea. Each star represented another chapter in the national story. Each additional star symbolized the remarkable capacity of American experiment to grow without losing its essential identity. Today, of course, the flag bears 50 stars. From 13 small points of light hugging the Atlantic coast, America expanded into a continental republic of more than 340 million people. The journey from 13 states to 50 is one of the most extraordinary political and economic achievements in human history. The flag has flown over moments of triumph and moments of agony. It waved above the battered defenses of Fort McHenry, inspiring Francis Scott Key to write the words that would become our national anthem. It accompanied American soldiers onto the beaches of Normandy. It raised atop Mountain Suribachi on Iwo Jima. It stood defiantly amid the ashes of November 11th. Through every generation, it has remained the common thread, stitching together the American narrative. 40 years ago, the Flag Day occupied a far more visible place in American life. School children stood behind their desks and recited the Pledge of Allegiance with regularity. Teachers explained the meaning of the stars and stripes. Students colored pictures of the flag, learned patriotic songs, listened to stories about the Revolutionary War. There was an understanding that citizenship required more than merely occupying geographic space. It required participation in a shared national story. Sadly, American school children are no longer taught U.S. history in the public schools. Many children today can instantly identify hundreds of corporate logos, social media applications, entertainment brands, but surprisingly, few know why the American flag contains 13 stripes or why stars were added over time. This is not nearly, in my opinion, an educational deficiency. It reflects a broader cultural amnesia, if you will. A nation that forgets the meaning of its symbols risks becoming untethered from its own history. Historical memory functions like a ship's anchor. Without it, the vessel drifts wherever the currents happen to carry it. The American flag remains one of the most recognizable symbols on earth because it represents something larger than government. You see, governments come and go. Political parties rise and fall. Presidents serve their terms and then they pass into history. But the flag endures because it symbolizes an idea. It represents the revolutionary proposition that individual liberty is not granted by rulers, but endowed indeed by God. It represents constitutional government, personal responsibility, and the enduring belief that free people are capable of governing themselves. As America approaches its millennial, Flag Day offers an opportunity today for reflection. Those 13 stars, adopted in 1777, were little more than sparks flickering against the darkness of a future uncertainty. Today, they have become 50 stars, illuminating a nation that remains, despite all imperfections, the most successful experiment in self-government ever devised by man. The American flag is not a relic of the past. It is a bridge connecting generations. It links the patriots at Lexington and Concord on April 17, 1775, to the soldiers at Normandy. It links immigrant families arriving at Ellis Island, as my families did, to astronauts planting stars and stripes on the lunar surface in July of 1969. It links every American who's ever believed that liberty is worth preserving. So I say today, on Flag Day, that Flag Day matters. It's not about cloth. It's not about ceremony. It's not about nostalgia. It's not about remembering who we are, where we came from, and how far we've traveled, but it's about the entirety of those things. From 13 stars to 50, from a fragile republic to a global superpower, the American flag remains the enduring constellation beneath which the American people continue this remarkable journey. It is also today the 251st anniversary of the United States Army. It was in June of 1775, more than a year before Thomas Jefferson put pen to parchment to draft the Declaration of Independence. The Second Continental Congress created what would become the U.S. Army. In doing so, the founders established the first truly national institution in American history. Before there was a United States, there was an army prepared to fight for one. Today, as we celebrate the 251st birthday of the United States Army, Americans should pause to reflect on the extraordinary history, sacrifice, and patriotism of the men and women who have worn the uniform in our nation's oldest and largest military service. From the frozen fields of Valley Forge to the mountains of Afghanistan, from the beaches of Normandy to the deserts of Iraq, the story of the United States Army is inseparable from the story of America itself. The Army was born during a moment of profound uncertainty as well. In the spring of 1775, of course, colonial militia forces were already exchanging fire with British troops at Lexington and Concord. That was on April 19th of that year. The American colonies faced the most powerful military force on earth, the British Empire, before Congress understood that a loose collection of local militias would never be sufficient to secure independence. On June 14th, 1775, Congress formally adopted the militia forces surrounding Boston and established the Continental Army. The following day, George Washington, later to become our first president, was unanimously selected as the commander-in-chief. Washington inherited a force plagued by shortages of food, ammunition, uniforms, and training. Many soldiers enlisted only for brief periods. Desertions were common. Disease ravaged encampments. Yet through discipline, perseverance, and leadership, Washington transformed a collection of citizen soldiers into a fighting force capable of defeating the great British Empire. One of Washington's greatest contributions was his insistence that the military remain subordinate to civilian authority. When frustrated officers contemplated challenging Congress during the Newburgh Conspiracy of 1783, Washington personally intervened to persevere the principle that the Army would serve the Republic rather than rule it. That tradition remains one of America's cornerstones when it comes to American liberty. Following the Revolution, many Americans feared standing armies and associated them with European tyranny. As a result, the young nation maintained only a small military establishment that would grow to be the great and powerful U.S. Army of today. So today, on the Stone Zone, we wish the U.S. Army happy 251st birthday. We'll be right back.